the incoming commissioner for some of you that may not know her. She's getting ahead of the game. Susan, is there anything you want to point out specifically, or does the board have any questions regarding the millage rate as to where we are now? I did want to make a mention, and Susan was talking about it a minute ago, and due to the fact of the way the state provides these documents that we have to fill in the blank, they're a little bit misleading to the public. And one of them I noticed, Charlotte, you had in your hand, and I want to touch on that while the board's thinking, is the advertisement that we have to run as a county government, same as every county government in the state of Georgia. If you collect $1 more than you did last year, the way that generic form reads is it reads as a tax increase, but that's actually a false statement. It's a revenue increase, not a tax increase. But I think the one you have in your hand says Madison County tax increase. So if we collect 1 penny more than the year prior, it's always going to say tax increase, even though there may not be a tax increase. It's a revenue increase. And unfortunately, Georgia will not change that. It has been asked to be changed, a lot like those old assessment notices that you got, and the mill rate wasn't even set yet, but it just made everybody mad. That's one of those documents that is just there to confuse people, make them mad. With that being said, our current mill rate, I want to say is 9.175.
9.157.
9.157. In actuality, our millage rate is actually not that. Our mill rate is actually 8.157. And I must explain why that is. So we collect 1 mill for the IDVA because they're a levying body. That mill is recognized on your tax bill as IDA. There's another mill that the Board of Commissioners gives to the fire department directly, but it's not highlighted in your tax bill that you receive. But knowing that that 1 extra mill comes in, and then we write a check for it, it's not a usable mill for government operations because it's designated Board of Commissioners. Had there been another line item on the tax bill showing IDA 1 mill, fire department's 1 mill, your actual millage rate that county government operates off is actually 1.57, not 9.157. So I know that's what most of the public don't know. Me and Susan were just talking about a way to try to make it easier for the Board of Commissioners to understand some of these budgets, because those numbers is reflected on what the county will receive, but a lot of times it's deceiving because we don't get to keep it. We have to pass it through. We're a pass-through agent as the collection for it. Wish there was a way we can do it, but the forms that we currently use will not allow it, but it is misleading to the public.
Yeah. Well, let me say, for anybody that's concerned about that 1 mill that goes to the fire department, if you figure out what that 1 mill is worth, and you look at the fire protection we got in Madison County, which most of it volunteer, it's a deal, baby. And so don't anybody, somebody's coming up saying, you know, we can cut some of that. Nah, that would not be a smart move.
Well,
at all.
I'll touch on that just a little bit. So a mill now is roughly worth about 1.37, $1,700,000. You got to take that number divided by 11 fire departments. Based off call volumes, that's how they distribute that mill amongst themselves. The fire association, for instance, Carlton won't get as much as maybe Hull because Hull runs more calls, so they need more money because they have more staff, more equipment. Not saying that one department is any better than the other, it's just based off call volume. But when you think of that 1 mill of your taxes going somewhere, and you know that that mill that is collected is divided by 11, it starts getting a lot smaller, and then you start understanding, well, I don't even know how they operate it. That's why they still sell chickens. That's why they still have fundraisers and chicken molds.
That's right. That's the reason they still do it.
Brian's pretty passionate about it because he's flipped a many a chicken in the fire department.
You know,
but I just thought I wanted to make some clarity to understand what that meal actually does. Now, Gentlemen, any questions about the worksheets?
Might be reading this wrong, but I'm not comparing the three, 2026 rollback plus a 0.25 increase, it actually shows less revenue.
Which sheet are you?
If you look at the rollback,
No, so you look at that per estimated PT 32 rollback?
I see that one, that's
Yes.
11.633.
Yeah.
If you look at holding the rate the same, is up in 12,055. And then if you go to the other one, which is a quarter increase,
Yes.
it's less than the holding.
Correct.
Yes. Yes. Because you're rolling it all the way back to zero.
Okay.
You're rolling it back, your hold rate, but you're gonna roll it all the way back, and then you're just gonna do a 0.25% increase.
I like looking at the bottom lines on that, the 13.438, 13.918, and 13.8.12. Does there anyone have any questions about the millage rate? In the millage rate discussion? Sure.
Do I get to,
Absolutely, sir.
since it's a public hearing,
That's remarked from commissioners, but we're good on time right this second.
Mark Staley from Carlton. As you mentioned, I have the clipping from the notice of property tax increase,
Correct.
and I am here as a concerned citizen. I've come before you before discussing the millage rate and your budget. Last year, I even told you, hand me the budget and I'll show you how to cut it. But when you say that 7.68% is not a property tax increase, I beg to differ, because even if you kept the millage rate the same as last year, as you will, all of you are well aware, with property valuations going up every year and it's become outrageous, ridiculous, then even if you keep the millage rate the same, you do have an increase in taxes. You may call it revenue, but on my tax bill and on everybody else's tax bill, it increases. So that's a tax increase, it's a backdoor tax increase.
No.
So you can call it revenue if you want to, but you charge it more per household.
It is 100% revenue, because we did not increase the taxing measure.
But it's still a tax increase. If my tax bill goes up,
It's a revenue
it's a tax increase.
Revenue increase.
Well, I beg to differ.
You can look it up in Webster.
Our increase, when you look at this, the increase actually comes from values, new properties, it's more of the new when we sit down and looked at this. Am I correct, Robin?
It's inflationary growth.
Yeah, well, you always have a revenue increase. If you build one more home than you had last year, there'll be a revenue increase because there's one more valuable item to value.
But it's all the more reason, like I ask every year, please roll back your millage rate,
Correct.
because that takes into account all the additional stuff.
Correct.
And the other point I wanted to make is the county collects local option sales tax. As far as I know, it goes, your accumulation every year goes up, so you get more money there. Your special purpose local option sales tax, that goes up. You get more money from that every year. And then now, lo and behold, thank you very much, we have a transportation local option sales tax, and that will bring in more money every year. But we don't ever see any benefit towards our property tax. So that's the point I wanted to make. When I appeared before the school board, and I told them when on their newspaper announcement, it said over a 10% increase. And I told him straight up when I went to the public hearing, I said, that's outrageous. If you're on Social Security like I am, we had a 2.8% increase this year. On average, that means it was $56 a month we got in increase. Well, Medicare went up $18 a month, so we had a net gain of only $38 a month. And yet they wanted to take over $100 and some dollars more a year on property tax. And I told them, I said, I want you to go tell your mom, dad, your grandpa, grandma that you're going to take $118 of their, because that $38 times 12 is only like $456. So I want you to tell them you want to take 118 out of their 456 that they thought they would have to pay for groceries and increased gas and insurance and all that kind of thing. So I want to come before you and make the same comment. If you increase it, revenue tax by 7.68%, that's outrageous. So I would ask all of you to consider that when you decide on the budget and on the millage rate.
We're going to be voting on the budget and the millage rate in the coming months. What was that on
I think we got it scheduled for October the 31st.
So what I'd like for you to do, and I'm going to invite you to do this.
What do we have it for October 31st? August 31st. August 31st.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I would invite you, the same as I do every year, to come into my office, sit down with me, we'll go over the budget line by line, and I'll show you my increases, and I'll show you what I have to pay for. I'll show you what we draw in, and I'll show you what we pay out. It's been an open invitation for 5 years, now going on 6. You're welcome to do that between now and budget time. But thank you for your input.
All right, thank you.
All right.
One kind of question, just the timber went from 10 million to like 500,000. It just seems like a very large, what happened to all the timber in the county, I guess?
That's state legislation changed.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, I figure it was some
Yeah.
change, but it's just dramatic. I mean,
Robin probably has a better explanation on the timber from the new state legislation on how we tax timber.
Well, the state took over and now it's qualified timberland properties. So they actually do the valuation on timber now and they send it to us. We put it in the system.
No, it just was dramatic.
Yeah.
So used to, you came in and got a timber permit here.
Okay.
And it's still a flawed system in my mind, my opinion, because now you no longer has to come to our offices to pull a permit to cut 100 acres of timber or 10 acres of timber. So we don't have a way to value that. So now it's more of a self-report. It is funny because of the guy that's cutting the timber, that's valuing the timber, is also the guy that's going to report how much he actually give for it. It's a bad, flawed system, but that's the state.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, something related to that too, to give the full background on that. The 2 largest paper companies and mills in the state of Georgia have closed within the last year. Yeah, so the thing of timber and timber property and the value of it, it's gonna go down as we become more inclined to be paperless. Timber value, unless it's hardwood and all, because the wood used to build houses is not harvested here.
Not no more.
Yeah, I mean, 90+% of that wood is hauled here from out west, you know.
Oh, in Canada.
Yeah.
It used to be before the tariffs.
Yeah.
Before it all burnt down.
Yeah.
And that whole thing of the paper companies owning, half the state, and within 5 years, they'll be giving that land away because they won't want it,
I have one, it's not really related to the millage rate, but it's kind of related to the other gentleman's point. I mean, clearly, people are on fixed incomes, particularly the elderly, and I know you guys have had some discussion about it, but although this is the millage rate discussion, ultimately the tax that the individual payers does go up.
It does.
And, just to consider that, ways that ultimately we can try to help, particularly those people in fixed incomes and the elderly. And I know you guys are looking at it, but just, I mean, it's not a revenue,
Yeah, people really need to remember that this November's voting cycle, it will be on the ballot for a reduction, for the school tax, which it all comes on one bill, unless you break it out, but that value will go down if you're 70 and older. So that's gonna be a I think we've done the math, or, Lamar and Robin has, and I wanna say it was 1,390-something properties in Madison County that won't never pay another school tax. But the school had to offset that somewhere because they were gonna lose about $1.4 million. So there's things in the work, and then there's some state legislature may come and may change all of this game. So,
I appreciate that.
yeah, no,
That's still up, that'll be on the ballot, that's a referendum on the ballot,
yeah.
so the citizens have to approve it. There currently are exemptions, and this was news to me a few months ago, but for 62 and 65. So if you're at that point, go by the tax commissioner's office and make sure that you get all those exemptions that are already there that you qualify for. And then,
They did come to our office, and there's a 72.
okay,
62,
62, 65, and 70, and then the one for the school board will be another.
And then homestead.
That is the homestead.
And then if you're a veteran.
There is
Yeah, so there's a lot of exemptions, and from what I'm told, and Robin has said this, and so has Lamar, there's a lot of the county that's eligible for exemptions that's never signed up for them. And other than us repeatedly saying, make sure you fill out the proper paperwork when you come in, there's not much we can do.
And it's on the assessment notice, and I think it's on the tax bill too, let people know that they need to check their exemptions.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Martin.
And as a follow-up of that, I'm just, if the referendum passes in November and the school one goes in, that's still another, they have to come sign it. It's not automatic.
Right.
Somebody will have to, so we just need to make sure if it passes, we coordinate and try to communicate with everybody because it would be affecting the tax bill they get next year.
Correct.
I just want to make sure that somebody thought it was automatic. You have to apply.
2027.
Yeah, 2027. All right, any other discussion on the millage rate? If anybody, if this board has any questions, please contact Susan and or Melanie, Christina, myself. We'll all try to help you if you get hung up on something, or maybe if you spot something we may have missed. If there's no other statements or remarks from commissioners, we will adjourn the public hearing on the millage rate, and we will, gentlemen, we got 7 minutes. Y'all want to pause, or do you all want to open the, well, we probably do need to wait.
Yeah.
Because it's advertised, sorry. That's why I was looking for the date and I couldn't see it. So we're gonna, 7 minutes at 6:30, we will open up the budget work session.
I was just thinking.
No, but if you get delivered, you got time to eat it.
You call her, because y'all ready.
In case y'all are wondering, Terry's feeding everybody that shows up tonight. He said, for whoever comes. You might want to call that in, head too.
Lamar is not gonna be in attendance tonight. I know his department is on the agenda, but he had a conflict in his schedule. I believe Todd was getting his time to get to that.
I have a question to Chair. When the tax department is the one that comes up with the evaluation, who is responsible for setting the direction of what the evaluations are? Is it the local county commission, or is it the state, the legislature?
I wanted to come right here so people don't think that we're still in session and somebody gets me in trouble for saying we're operating in session and we're not. Say that one more time.
When it comes to the evaluations that the tax department comes up with, is there direction from the board of commissioners on how that process and, what amounts you can base it on, or is it directed by the state?
Yeah, that question is better for Robin, because that comes out of his office, and he knows all the rules and regs. But most every process we do is based off of the state guidelines.
The legislature sets all the laws that we have to follow, and everything is directed by the Board of Assessors, which the Board of Commissioners have no direct input with the Board of Assessors. And they can't help because it's a conflict according to the statute against the law. The Commissioners have any say-so in valuation properties. So,
They don't have any input.
they have no input on the valuation of property. It's, the Board of Assessors. And we're directed by the State Department of Revenue.
Because the reason I point that out, I wish somebody had to say that property tax on property value. I wish somebody was old enough to say, whatever you got your mortgage against on that property, that should be your set valuation. It should be driven by the trends of the economy. Because to me, if I have $1,000 and it goes up to $500,000 in less than a decade, that's unreal.
And unfortunately, that's the way that the state legislature has set it up.
I need to contact my legislators and say, hey, somebody step up to the plate and try to make it reasonable, not outrageous.
Yes. Now, whether it does you any good, probably no.
I can say the same thing about local.
Yeah.
I talked to them before, I talked to the school board, but what does it always do? Even if they keep the military, the valuation.
Yeah, and that's the reason the state has to roll back. Just so that the board can at least make an effort to.
See, that's my point, every time I request, they roll it back.
And
But they won't do it.
I don't know if they won't, I don't know if they can still operate the county.
All the sales tax. I know they go up every year, but I have it right. Well, you can get more income without having to do more property valuations and get extra taxes on it.
They could have listened to.
They're a completely separate board. The Board of Assessors are appointed by the commission, and the commission has the funds. So that's our budget.
But I'll be trying.
But see, the Board of Assessors really don't have any control over valuation and everything, because the state comes in and audits almost every year. And we're not within certain guidelines, and we fail our audit. The state can come in and find the county, end up with $5 per parcel, plus make them collect that, still that same tax. Yep.
Good thing is, you never really own that. And then the next,
Home you get it all of it, it would be a massive tax. Wouldn't be able to afford it. But they wouldn't be able to realize the gains when they sold. The appreciation wouldn't be. They would have to sell it. It's almost like you're penalized. Still at it. I'm not saying it's like, if I had every.
I have one that well, it's supposed to have air, but it hasn't been. That's the one I like to work. I like to work in the one that's small.
You should look at diversity of your pricing.
Work as long as the capital value, so we're not sell it, you didn't appreciate it, you had to sell it. You're penalized for doing that.
That's like Proposition 13 in California.
100% Proposition 13. That's great. That's what this state's trying to go to.
Even you said that where you can't run it around,
And I really wish, while we're still not in meeting, we're just making a talk tractor, I wish people would do the math on their insurance. Because
they found one.
Warren back there with Farm Bureau, State Farm, they tell you what you're gonna pay.
That's got.
They value your home, you don't get a value.
They moved
About 40 years ago, you think it's for 60, they're gonna charge you what the rebuild cost.
Control freak.
Because people complain about, insurance.
It's like
car insurance, cell phone bills, and water. So, how, 32% increase. Nobody hears that. So you get in touch with the right guy. I mean, it doesn't, because we spend, the average cell phone bills will get charged back to what's your taxes. That's crazy, but it is.
Just they know the only way you can change it is to change service. And then you have to
Kind of reason. So when I get there, while we're not the sheriff's office, watching guns. I got 300 people channeled.
Because I said, I'm not gonna pay for this.
Lucky you. Hey, you wanna do theirs?
You can just say you're going back to sheriff and move it to yours.
Yeah. There you go, Bobby. Oh, man, the sheriff probably give you this. All right, we'll start the Madison County Board of Commissioners Budget Work Session, August 20th, 26, 6:30 PM. August 20th, 2026, 6:30 PM. And we will skip the sheriff's office right now and move on to the emergency management, services, Mr. Bobby Smith.
Just have one of the voices like Mr. Bobby Smith. I wish I had this tonight, but I don't think I do.
Thank you for coming, buddy.
Yes, sir. How's it going? Y'all wanna start with, 55 or 56?
55, buddy.
Okay.
So it looks like, you and Susan sat down and done, y'all went through the numbers really, really good. I only have one question with Susan, she fixed it before we got here, but your department appears to really not have much change in it. Some of the changes I've noticed were in favor of going the other way, going down. There's obviously an increase in your part-time wages, and
so I put 3%, that's what we've been kind of typically doing every year, that's what I added to it. I'm sure my guys are not gonna complain if, you guys would like to go up with that, so, but that's what I put, because that's what we've kind of been, doing yearly. The top one, the state, we get a equipment grant, it's gone up, I know Chairman and I have talked about it a couple of times, but they added some more money to that, to help with our blood program throughout the state, not just us, but, so that's where that money's coming from. And they expect, I was told that all they're waiting on is a chairman for the blood coalition for the state, and once that gets approved and once they get that chairman in there and that board kind of starts meeting, we should get another $10,000 on top of that, so, from the state. So, that'll be a good thing, it kind of helps offset our calls. Dr. White's, increase, that was, he retired from St. Mary's, so we're really the only, people using his DEA number. He just asked us if we could cover that. I think it was $900 and something. It wasn't a ton, I think we added 1,000 to it, but, that was just to cover any taxes or whatever you had to cover with it, but that's what that increase is.
What is the decrease in the subscription amount done after EPCR is just a prorated number?
So we hope, and again, we don't know because we just swapped over last month to emergency billing. The game plan is to plan on dropping the billing side of our EPCR software, the Sancio software, in December. That's when the contract runs out. Honestly, depending on how many claims we still have out under us billing and how much of that we've been able to collect, how many secondary insurances have, picked up and how many we still have holding out there, we may have to increase, have to go add 6 months or another year to the RedNet side, our billing part of it. I hope to get rid of it as quick as we can, but until we kind of get a little further into this, the billing part of it, I just don't know if we can. We won't really know until hopefully about a 3-month mark and kind of see what we've been able to kind of get knocked off on, claims and all. But until then, we're hoping to get rid of it, but we just don't know if we can yet.
So have I mentioned to the Board of Commissioners that we had changed and added a EMS billing company to our staff as a contracted service? I don't remember if we had these discussions.
Y'all did.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So anyway, we were one of the better ones in the state on our collections, due to our employee staff have done such a good job. This is to try to get our backlog of old, caught up. So this new group will take over, we'll be able to get away from the RedNet software, which has caused many gray hairs for Bob.
It is, that is.
And it's prolonged our repayment process back to the Board of Commissioners.
If we could, it would cost us a lot of money to go out and buy outside software, so that, and Cherry White does a great job doing our billing. She has for a very long time, 19-something years, I think, at this point. So, she's great, and it was no reflection of her work.
No.
It was, Cherry, unfortunately, if she gets sick or something happens, we would be in that position anyway. We just don't have a backup. Hiring an outside coder it would be very expensive.
Well, and the coding changed so often, and one of the biggest things is when Sherry come on 19 years ago, we was running about 2,500 calls. We're over 6,000 calls now, and that's hard for any one person to keep up with.
Yeah.
Not only the current billing, but then trying to follow up on the older billing that hasn't been paid. So.
And, the laws are passing every year, and they're changing. The Surprise Billing Act is passed this year, so that's gonna. It's a lot to keep up with.
And dealing with secondary insurances, which they don't want to pay until they have to.
No, and it's a constant fight. And emergency billing, they have 40 employees. They got enough people to devote the time into that, to going after it. And, so.
On a side note, they're looking to move their business here to Madison.
That's everything you showed online, 47, that's $70,000 worth of Indian zero.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's gonna be it'll be 7% of whatever they collect.
Yeah.
And so that
And that's
70,000 is
the
based on the current expected collections.
Yes,
So you're showing a pretty good, there were several, 3 other categories that were pretty good bump. Line 63, maintenance, control, other equipment.
Yes, sir.
Line 04, ambulance supplies, and uniforms, line 44.
So yes, the 63 is our contract. Some of our equipment, when we initially buy them, you get a 5-year warranty or different things, PM maintenance and things like that. Some of ours are rolling off that 5-year, our monitors specifically. So it's just, we got to buy a maintenance contract at this point. Those things you don't want to be caught without one. They're very expensive to work on. It's about $320 an hour to service. So we just add that maintenance contract. That's what's on 63.
it's also prorated for 26, 27, and 28. be the same amount, 24,998.
The uniforms, so, I don't, me and Susan have talked about this a couple of times. That budget had gotten cut. We can go back and look. I'm trying to find that.
In 24, it was 5,000, and it went down to be
Yeah, and
25.
I think that was just an oversight on our part. I don't think it didn't need to be cut, in my opinion, anyway. It's just, those things are expensive. We have to buy them for the employees. So I just asked that go back up. That's what that request was. Ambulance supplies that's just about what the increase has been as far as, on medical supplies, for the inflation, honestly. It's just, things are expensive.
Bobby, what was it, what line item number was you just talking about that got cut?
The uniforms.
44 was the third one from the last.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Bob. So I remember what that was. We had got in a late order the year before, so we thought they would last through the year because they come in late. And now it's gonna be a year, or now it's actually gonna be 15 months out that they waited on us till before. So we just reduced it for that 1 year because we just got them in.
Gotcha, okay.
It was 2,323, 5,024, and 3,025.
Yeah. You gotta keep in mind what they also wear. They don't wear the good stuff. They wear t-shirts 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But it's the pants.
Yeah, and the pants, and the thing is like, unlike a lot of services around us, we don't buy boots, we don't buy belts. I mean, most other places buy those other things, it's just a uniform. You're not wearing it anywhere else. It's not like you're gonna go out with your work boots, to church or anything. So a lot of places buy those things. We haven't been, but these shirts, we buy the cheaper brand, and they're still $75 a piece. The pants are $100 a piece. They're just expensive. They're just expensive. And again, we don't just randomly replace them every year unless they're, get tore up or gross, then we'll replace them. But we've only been able to manage with that amount of money for, we can't do it anymore. Like, we're to the point now to where I've been putting them off for over a year, so I can't put my guys off anymore at this point.
How many EMTs, paramedics you had?
We have 26, full-time, and then the part-time is, it ranges sometimes, anywhere from about 50 or so, and it goes up and down here or there.
In addition to the 26 full-time?
Yes, sir.
So how's your retention?
Full-time is actually really good. We've been pretty blessed with, some other places around us. We've been good. Part-time is hit or miss. We have some very loyal guys that, they've been around, they work all the time, and then, we'll hire 2 or 3 that will come in, work through their orientation days, and we'll never see them again. It's just,
The part-time list is actually a reserve list. It's not actually 50 people that work here part-time.
Right.
It's just a list of names of on-call people that we can call.
Just call in as needed.
Luckily, we stay pretty well full staff.
We do. We've been, like I
part-time
said,
very often.
we've been pretty blessed as far as retention on our full-time staff, over, for the last couple of years anyway. So we've been good on that, and for the most part, I don't think we're any different than anybody else as far as part-time. They come, with some of the other services being so short, you can get about all the overtime that you want to work at your home service. So a lot of those guys, they'll come, start working with us, maybe work a couple of months, and then somebody will get hurt at their home service, and then they can pick up all the overtime they need. So we've started a rule, because of us paying the PTSD insurance that started last year with state mandate.
State mandate.
Yeah. So with that, we kind of made a rule that, unless there's some extraordinary circumstances, you got 3 months. I figure you can put in 1 day, 8 hours, 12 hours or something every 3 months, or at that point we'll kick you off. But you know, if they've got something going on, having a baby or doing something, we'll make exceptions. But for the most part, we try to give them about 3 months and then, you know.
So I guess the retention's good then, as far as what we're paying is fairly in line, or are we just?
Well, it is, it has been. We just done the board, 3 years ago, I think.
Right.
The problem is, you know, it kind of seems to run in circles. You know, we'll give a raise, then Franklin, and then Elbert, and then Jackson, and then us, and it's just, you're constantly chasing your tail, you know, so we were good 3 years ago, kind of, you know, above the middle, and then by this point now, you're just starting to get to that point where probably next year I'll come to you and go, all right, we need to do something different, because now we're $1.50, $2 more, you know, or less than what everybody else is. So
Well, we just hired a full-timer, came from our neighboring county, and she took a severe pay cut.
she did, and like I said, we get those, you know, I mean, I think we got a pretty good
environment better.
I think
It's
so.
the environment.
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good place to work, so I mean, you know, we're able to drag some in and keep them, but, you know, and eventually that money will add, you know, kind of, they'll make their choice.
Yeah, I appreciate that, that sounds good for us, that, the environment's good and the folks wanna be there.
Yeah.
And they're staying, probably, maybe they could make more somewhere, so.
That's right.
good.
And like I said, you know, I mean, we've been pretty blessed to be able to keep, staff. There's other services around us that are just hemorrhaging people, you know, it's hard. I mean, there's not that many going through school. I don't remember how many went through last year, but typically it was like 5 or 6. I think there's 9 in the paramedic program this year, so it's just there's not a lot.
I think for all the counties too.
Yeah, I mean, that's Athens Tech, so, you know, I mean, Lanier Tech has one, right, and then they can, you know, on top of that, they can go to the private service and make $30 an hour, where we pay 19.
And if most of the younger ones wanna go be PAs and MPs.
Yeah, and then, you know, not only that, you know, they can go back to nursing school for, you know, 8 months and 9 months, whatever, and make a lot more than us, and have better schedules and everything else.
Yeah.
So we have lost some over the last, 3 years, but they've all been nursing, everyone,
Lost 2 nursing.
Yeah. We had one, Taylor Smith, just stepped down, I think it was last month, but she's going to nursing. So I'm not losing to other services. That's the great thing but I'm losing them, you know.
But you're losing them for a $40,000 increase.
Yeah,
That's why they're going
I
to
mean,
nursing.
that and you know, they work 3/12 versus.
Yeah, and that's what I was just interested in, is to understand.
Yeah.
That's good on that part.
It's pretty widely known in North Georgia that, and I'm very bold about saying this, is we have one of the best EMSs in the state of Georgia. It's known.
I think we all.
Go into any other county, it's like, man, I don't know how y'all do it. Good staff.
We got good staff, yeah.
Is, on the way to line of 89, is that correct? It seems like there'd be some disconnect right there.
I think that would be
Oh, yeah, that's the certified payment.
for the insurance, or for the
Yeah.
billing.
Dues and fees, yes.
When they're talking about the difference between requested and recommended, yeah.
So, I think I'm explaining this right, Susan, but, what we've got now, we've got 3 separate credit card, machines technically that we're taking payments from. We're trying to reduce that down to 1. So hopefully the plan is to, kind of cut that fee down to at least one certified payment is the company's name that.
Certified payment is what emergency billing, is requested that we use. And we actually do use them in other departments here. So, and the good thing is, at that point, the way it's certified, it's set up just for government. So all of their fees are on the back side of that, and the county never sees that. It doesn't affect us anymore. So it's a large savings to go to that, because that's why you're seeing that difference, though. When he first requested, we had not gotten that far. with emergency billing to know that that's where we were headed.
The tickets they collect, they're just gonna hold, there won't be a pass-through.
Won't be a pass-through anymore, it won't affect us, right?
You had a question, sir?
No, that's it. Just want to make sure we're together on that line.
Now, Susan, I did have a question for you. So, I noticed under all the information technologies, now that this new federal mandate has come along with the ABA, websites,
Right.
are we sharing that amongst all departments, the new Civics Plus? Is it even in here?
I haven't put that in there yet.
Okay, because that may change the scope.
It may
of some of
change
this.
the scope, and here's why I haven't done that yet, because we kind of were still, and I'm glad you're here, because we do need to talk about this. So, as part of that package, with the ADA website, there is a mass communication section for that. So, you haven't got to 56 yet, but when you do, you'll see that there is an expense line that we pay that's called text notification system, and it doubled last year for 26. So, and that's the numbers you're gonna see there, and I've actually got those highlighted in green because we haven't totally had a full discussion about, will this mass communication totally replace both of the systems that we have? Because you guys currently, we have Code Red, that's in 911, and then we have Penguin, which is what is in your 56 department. Am I correct?
No, well, so the code, I don't know what Penguin is.
Okay, well, that's the
but
one that gets here.
The Code Red is, my understanding is, and Susan, you correct me if I'm wrong with any of it, we use Code Red for like mass notification. We use it for employees. We send out our alerts, like if anybody's taking off. You can also use it for, like the weather, I believe the rec department, the sheriff's office, they have that, all of those texts, if you get it from Brennan, it all comes through that Code Red. My understanding from Lacey and talking to her about this is Civic Plus offers a version of that. It's very similar. We can basically just swap over. I'm not the sheriff, so that's always been his kind of baby, but my understanding is we can kind of do away with Code Red and go to Civic Plus.
Right. And so that's why I haven't actually physically moved anything yet, because I'm trying to make sure that your department, the sheriff's department, 911, they all, I just need to know where we're at. And then the other question will be, we have to look at the renewal date for it, because it's gonna be just a little while before this website will be up and going. So we may still have some costs that we're gonna have to pay to these providers to bridge us until we can get there. So we're still working through that. That's what I've got to tweak.
The reason I made that known was because every department's gonna have an item number 14, information technologies.
Yeah, but.
It may change in that line item across all if it's a shared expense.
Yeah.
But it's not really.
Yeah, but it's not, yeah. I mean, once we move everything over to Civic Plus, we're gonna carry that in the non-departmental line as one contract.
Okay.
Just because for the auditor's purpose, there's all these new rules for GASB, for Savitas and leases and all that. So it's much easier if everything's just in one place. If it's a contract, it's all in one line for them.
Perfect.
So that's what we decided we would do.
All right. So Bobby, you want to move on into your next one?
56.
Sure.
Most of this is just the PTSD. My understanding is that's something that they went up on again. We don't have any control over it. That's a state mandate that the state put out.
That was just for everybody's knowledge, that's a $48,000 mandate that the state adopted.
Unfunded mandate.
Unfunded, right. That's again, the Penguin, I'm not aware of, I don't know which one that is. The one that we use typically is Code Red, but again, my understanding is Civic Plus will take care of that, so kind of.
As far as you added there about the mandate list, also the VFD, the cancer policy, that was actually a state mandate that we had to carry that. Which is not a bad thing that we do carry it, I'm just saying it was mandated that we carry
That's
that.
for the volunteer fire department.
It is.
It's listed
We
under
have-
mine.
But it's under this budget,
Right.
this
Yeah.
department.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's under mine, but.
Just
Same
those two
thing.
mandates together is averaging about, $70,000.
And another,
Per year.
that workers' compensation as well is for volunteer fire department.
Right, that's under, yeah. That's not EMA's department, that's for the firemen.
Now, Bobby, me and Susan had this conversation just a minute ago, and this is where I was going a minute ago with the meal that's designated to, the fire departments. So we have to show it in our budget because the big number the public sees for income, if you look at that other line right there, 14.96 is a pass-through number. In other words, we collect it as a county, but we turn around and write a check to somebody else. We don't get to use it. That was the number I was referring to.
Right.
We don't know how to break that out of this budget because it still shows as
I think,
an expense of ours.
It's an
It's not really a pass-through expense.
With, I know, it's pass-through, but it's also, the government is mandated to provide
100%.
fire
100%.
protection, so
Contract service.
it's just how we do it.
That's right. That's all it is, just a word.
So I don't want people to get that idea that they can, it's like EMS and
It needs to be twice.
And Sheriff's Department and EMA, they are mandated for the government to even be here.
right,
That's the reason they actually was county government to begin with, so.
I think the reason it's listed in mine is y'all needed somewhere to put it.
That's right. Yeah, I just didn't want anybody to think, well, boy, they sure spend a lot of money in EMA.
Well, it ought to be, run efficiently, and I think ours is run
100%. 100% agree, sir. You have anything that you feel comfortable, uncomfortable with on this, Bobby?
I think we've kind of talked about everything, went through it real quick.
So you do have, items 30 and 64 under your hamlets as well. And you'll be buildings, grounds, vehicle repair and maintenance.
Yeah.
Are you looking at the capital? Is that, are you looking?
No?
64.
Oh, that's 64, I got you, okay.
So,
Nothing that just jumps out as a problem. I just wanted everybody to know it. In case
So
you
that-
had anything to add to them, Bobby.
so that's just maintenance, so 38,000 that we're showing for ambulance is just maintaining?
Yes, sir.
That's just, yeah,
That's
the
just
maintenance.
like the routine maintenance and.
Yeah.
Commissioner Kirk, I like to pick and say we bought Fords, so we got to spend money on it.
Well.
I'm just playing.
No,
I
but
do
I
it
mean,
for those days,
no,
got a red one.
Actually, 38,000 is,
It's pretty good.
that's real good.
Yeah.
If you can get by without the ambulance.
We have to knock on wood with
Hey,
it,
look,
but that's, yeah.
You
it's
don't
not
want
bad.
one quitting on you while you're hauling the patient.
No.
I've had that happen, so you don't want that.
From the public standpoint though, as a taxpayer, I would appreciate the 38 because it used to be 2 and 3 times that
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah.
Until 2001, when we started getting the new ambulances
That's
and
right.
getting rid of the
Oh, yeah.
stuff that we constantly worked on,
That's right.
which actually lowered our price, so.
How many ambulances in the fleet now?
So we have, 6 of the 550s, 2 of the 350s still left, and then we have 1, spare that we don't run out of it unless we just really have to. So it's technically 9.
Hate this operation.
So you
Yeah.
think it's a full fleet?
Yeah,
Not yet.
that seems to work.
We got 2 more.
We've got 2 ordered that should be here next September.
They'll be replacing.
The 350s. And then at that point, we'll have all 550s. We've noticed that that's how that maintenance has gone down. It doesn't cost us as much to do the brakes because we don't do them as often. Upkeep, everything is just better with the 550 chassis. We carry so much weight. They're 13-something thousand pounds now. So it's just so much equipment on it that the 350 chassis just can't tow it anymore.
And what a lot of, and I say lay people, even myself, until I attended the staff meeting the other day, you know, I was still thinking when we started down this road with replacement, you know, 5, 6 years ago, trying to, you know, bite one off at a time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were budgeting 350 and stuff, and that's the number I still had at staff meeting the other day. You know, they were talking about, you know, they're at the $500,000 mark.
They are.
And you're talking about 500,000, and you just said, we're looking at getting them shipped in 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's.
Yeah, so.
They're $270 a piece.
Oh, yeah, they're $270 a piece. They, the crazy thing is the prices that we will get in September is a year and a half ago, because that was, you know, we placed the order a whole, you know, 2 years in advance just so that we can lock the price in, and then it takes that long to build them now, and they are going up and up and up and up. It's just crazy.
Yeah. By the time you outfit them and you put the lift on it to, you know, get the cart in there to retain employees so they don't throw the back out.
That's
and then keep, you know, it just snowballs.
It is. It's very expensive.
That's right.
Well, you might want to talk about that.
What's that?
The thing we just done to keep them employees throwing the back out.
So, we are installing, we did it today, Brian and I were working on it, trying to get, the power loads, installed today. We got the first track in, we're working on the wire, and we'll hopefully have that, all of it done tomorrow. I know Christina was a little bit,
But you're touching on something here that we need to get our hands around and understand and make sure that the public understands. $270,000 for an ambulance.
Right.
Puts an ambulance just on the road. It doesn't put the equipment in the
That's
ambulance
right.
that you need.
That doesn't staff it, that doesn't upfit it.
We can give it to animal control in the condition we get it.
That's right. That's right. It is bare bones when we get it. It doesn't come with a stretcher. It doesn't come with any of the internet. It doesn't come with any of the equipment.
Any of the monitors, those are expensive.
Nothing. And I was telling.
Where I'm going with this, and here, not to be disrespectful at all, but the issue was brought up that, you know, we've got a 3.68% increase in revenue, but it takes it. I mean, across the board, we have costs that are increasing that are beyond our control. Here again, some state mandated and either underfunded or not funded.
Right.
And then we face in cost increase from your suppliers for the disposable items that you use, you know. Once you rip the package.
That's right. You use it or throw it away.
It's gone, you know. And your department, and with all that being said, your department's not unique at all in that, in our review of the budget. And,
That's the reason I say the fire department's such a deal, because that ladder truck that Gomer Volunteer Fire Department's got down there, you can't even buy it for the 1.3 that we give all the fire departments.
Right.
Oh, no. Not even
So
close.
I'm just saying.
Prior to COVID, you could, but you
Right.
can't now.
Not now. I'd be scared to say what the build time on one of those are. I mean, for the ambulance, it's 2 years.
3 years.
So, yeah, you know, it's crazy. I was telling somebody today, you add medical to the name of anything.
Yeah. Medical rescue or.
Right. Any life.
Ambulance, anything fire, that's right.
Yeah. It's very expensive.
So with what I want to make a note about that was the power stretcher loader. And I got to reference his name, David Rogers, who's been here for years. Give Bobby grief about ordering those. He just did not think we needed those. The average paramedic weighs, average, 175 pounds. That's the 140s and the 220s, 175 pounds. public now seems to be averaging between 2 and 3 and 5.
Right.
And
Well,
to be able to load these patients, we were seeing workman's comp claims.
we were.
And we've had several.
Something to note is, and it's not unique to us, but, more females are getting into our profession. There was 4 guys in the last paramedic class. I think there's 3 in this one. So the girls are getting smaller. Obviously, they're smaller than the guys, and there's more. So we don't have what it was when I started, where it was just everybody, all the guys, big guys,
All the
coming from the fire
departments
departments. Right, it is not like that.
Lift assistants. And that actually should help a lot with the lift assistants.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But anyway, David's response was, I did not think it was worth it until we just used it, and it was amazing. He said, I made a mistake. I give Bobby grief. But he was thankful.
But that is something that we can take out and put into the new ambulances.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't, we don't have to throw it away once,
Yeah.
Once we buy new trucks. It'll go with that, the new truck, and we can swap it over. And Stryker told us, I think you were there, they told us that, I don't know how they expect, or they have seen in the past, a 50% reduction in workman's comp claims. So it should pay for itself, because we've had several over the last 5 years.
And we've actually, some people have been forced to retire because of it.
That's right.
Because of an injury they couldn't come back from.
That's right.
That was really, really good.
Yeah.
All right, Bobby, I don't have any questions. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for Bobby? All
Our
right.
insurance company needs to know that we put those in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that is a good note. Let me remind me, make me know that. So while we're waiting on the next one, which may be me, I will say, myself and Tracy Day went to sit down with the insurance company the other day with renewals. Our claim ratio went down. I need to do a formal presentation with you on that, so I may just hold on. But anyway, we are better than we was last year.
Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, Bobby.
Make sure your staff knows how appreciative we are. Bobby, make sure your staff knows how appreciative we are.
I will. Thank y'all so much.
On behalf of the public, which we are public. I wouldn't trade our AMS for nobody in the state. Every one of them that shows up is gonna save your life, probably, if it can be saved.
Just another quick point, since we're talking about EMS, we also recycle the old ambulances into the road department vehicles.
Double catchers.
Yep.
You name it.
Paul Madison, the other one?
Mm-hmm. And some of his staff does, just to haul the tools. We don't.
They have the really old ones that
It's
were
maintenance
gray.
rescue.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Maintenance rescue, that's right. All right, so, we haven't heard back from Michael.
No.
All right, we'll move on. We can always move it. Lamar Dalton, Tax Commissioner.
We can always zero it out, he'll come back. Guaranteed.
Well, we can talk a little bit about the sheriff's office, if you want to, some of the positions that he's done, how he's moved some of the shifts and.
I'd rather him explain it, just because in case somebody got a question we can't answer, I'd rather just do it once. But anyway, Lamar Dalton, Tax Commissioner. Lamar says, boys, I'm good. I want you, to consider a raise for my employees. They're well deserving. He's really not asking for any changes. He asked me to let Robin Baker do his, and I told him I wouldn't do that to Robin. Just so you
I appreciate it.
know. He don't have really anything that's surprisingly over the top out of his department, if you look back. Actually, since 25, we are really close within 4 or 5. The only thing that's showing up really different is the 3% raises. Everything else is minimal.
Well,
He
and the
did
only
drop
other,
back from a full-time position to a part-time position in his office, which kept his numbers down and to offset those raise increases. He has a really good young lady down there part-time. I hope she goes full-time. I think it's needed, but that's for him to determine.
So there is, the only other line item that there was a difference in, he had originally requested 7,200, and recently we were talking, because when I kept looking at numbers and how things were going this year, it was a lot different. And so we started talking, and it's the filing fees line. So the cost to file their 5As or file whatever, it literally has went up about $100 a piece. And between that and the fact that he said that the growth, there's just more people coming in, there's more filing fees, so that line did get increased to 12, based on what we were already seeing for this year. It's been across the board. But the filing fees were more expensive, and just the number of people coming in, and him having to file, I guess, his tax bills and that kind of thing, right?
5 days, right?
Yeah.
Which,
But the foreclosure.
You know, you pay to file it, and then you gotta pay to remove it.
yeah.
So, it's a lot of money.
Could you talk to us about the collection services line 47,
Let's see.
2,000 to 4,026, you're holding the same amount for 27. So what was the bump that moved us, that doubled us from 25 to 26?
The collections, I think, didn't the service changed when they went, what happened with that collection service? Something changed. They're using a different one or something, I believe. It was why he had requested more.
That would be a Lamar question.
Yeah.
The company that was doing that, people were retiring.
I
I
don't
think
believe
that's what the conversation was regarding that. He had to go with another service that.
I don't remember, I even talked about it in his office one day, and I can't remember what exactly it was.
Also, line 20, the last one, city commissions payout. It was zero, it was 8,025 and 10,026.
Correct.
Yep.
That's where the Board of Commissioners voted to take that
That percentage.
1% and swap it to him, because he's always been eligible for it, but he never received it in lieu of an increase in salary.
No, I don't actually think the Board of Commissioners has any say so in that.
No, but he
No, they
still, he
voted.
did, yeah, we voted on
He
it.
came and asked, yeah.
He came and requested, and they voted for that.
But I think it was more, he just wanted the board to know what he was doing, but by law, he could have kept it anyway.
Gotcha.
But he's always foregone that money. But anyway, that's where that number comes from, sir. Any other questions about Lamar's?
I appreciate the fact that, the collections that we don't have a whole lot anymore like we have had in the past.
I will tell you this, Commissioner Kirk and Christina, clarify, we are somewhere around the top 3 counties in the state for collection rate. We run about 99.6 or 7. There's only one county, you may know this because y'all talk about it all the time, but there's one county that's right there at 99.9, but we don't know how it gets there, but out of all the
That's probably Fulton. Seriously, because he, 1 year and he sells it.
Yeah. But we don't roll over much anymore neither. Lamar's got everything caught up to where it's literally within 2 years. He don't carry anything more than 2 years. He made a comment to us yesterday in the office that he has personally went and delivered 70 notices, and all 70 total up together only equal $7,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's, everybody, and he's always said Madison County's done a really good job about paying their taxes.
Right.
The difference between what goes in the paper for sale and what actually sells is less than 1%.
Right.
You know, 20 goes in the paper, there may be 2 sell. maybe 2 sell. Most time there's no sales. They clear up because he has a payment plan. Lamar's one of the best officers in the world to work with about structuring payments. And he will do it as long as will uphold your end of that contract with him. He'll make sure that things have been taken care of. But anyway, thank you, Lamar, even though you ain't here.
Yeah, he had a lodge meeting that come up, it didn't come up, but he didn't realize that they were both today, and so he was very upset that he could not be here.
You can imagine how upset he was, so just really.
Oh, yeah, no, he
We all know it.
He thought
really
it
was,
was,
he
yeah.
really wanted to
He
be
was
here.
upset.
I mean,
He thought it was gonna be during work hours.
Yeah,
during
he
the
thought
day,
it was
yeah.
the morning, like the others had been, and then he was upset.
I actually thought it was too until I looked at the calendar and saw what time it was.
Yeah.
today.
I did too, this morning, until she told me, no, you're gonna be here tonight. So moving on, property valuations, Robin Baker.
Hopefully mine is easy as Lamar's.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah.
My total increase is 9,000 over last year, and it's gonna be the same as Lamar's request for, raises for employees. On the filing fees, that's conservation use. Those fees come into us, we give them to the general fund, they come back to us, and we file them with the clerk of court. So that is not money that we get from the board, it's money that the public pays to file those, it just goes through the board.
I got you. So it's in and out dollar.
Yes.
Let's see, all right.
So that's the conservation use?
The
Filing
filing,
purple line.
right,
Yeah.
92,
Yes, but that's the purple line in revenue?
Yes. Yes, that money,
Plus
Comes
expense
in.
revenue offset.
and then they turn around and write it right back out and paying for the filing. fee.
Right. Do we need to change those numbers to match?
They do.
8,500 and
Oh,
8,000.
yes, I do, I'm sorry. That was me.
Well, there's a photocopying tax excess.
That's 200.
So 10 and
That's
10, and then
$200.
photocopying is 200.
Yeah,
This right here, my piece of paper says 8,500 is what
She's
the
right.
admin recommended, and then this down here for expense for admin recommended is 8,000.
Okay.
Whichever one,
It
they
needs-
just need to be the same. They don't
it
show
should be
us.
the same,
Yeah,
I got you. All right,
they're both
yes.
zero, I mean.
You got your pencil, right?
I got that.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make sure that, and I appreciate the way you highlight those. I recognize that that's how you're tracking this together.
Town tracking, yep. We'll fix it, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a big issue at all.
Robin, the only one, there's a couple of them I had question with right here. The education and training, I know you got one open position that needs, will need class, but I'm looking back. Is there more training that you're expecting? Is Feeney or John got another class coming up? Because it's only referencing one position, and I don't think one position is 6.
well, that's right, but everyone in the office has training,
Okay,
because we have to have, 40 hours of continuing education.
that's where I want to make sure that
Yeah.
there's more onto that other than the one person.
Right, it's not just the one
Okay,
person.
so
That's
one
the one
person
person coming
plus.
in would be to get that person up to the appraiser 1 certification.
And then plus CEUs for the others
Yeah.
that have to, okay, now that makes more sense. I think that's why probably Susan knocked it back. She was anticipating one person being 45 and you'd ask for 6. She didn't realize there was others in that, maybe.
Right, and, that came back, and then the travel, food, and lodging went up a little, because we found that we're spending more for the lodging and the travel than the classes.
Yes.
So, it's still gonna average about the same for both, but it's just that line item doesn't need as much as the travel.
Gotcha.
Let me ask you on 45, which is, I guess, the trailer business audit,
Mm-hmm.
that, 30,000, how many are they actually, audits are they doing? Like,
It varies each year, because they'll send out the letters to do the audits, and then depending on whether they have to do an appeal, or if they have to have subpoenas issued, or if they, have a large account that takes a lot more time. There's no set number that we do each, or that they do each year.
Where are we at? What level are we at?
They have mailed out the last batch of the 3-year audit. And there was maybe 100 of those, I think.
That would be, that means that all personal property would have been audited by
Yes, once,
all personal property accounts.
right. Once
So-
this last batch is completed. Now, this last batch may not be completed till next year sometime, or the end of next year. It just depends on how many they're able to work through between now and.
I guess my question is leading to, how long will we need them?
Forever, or somebody like them.
Either that, or we'll have to hire some CPAs.
Yeah. Actually, I asked Oconee County about this today as well.
Mhm.
Did they use a contract service? He said, we have no choice.
So, I guess the requirement, is it a requirement of the,
It's a requirement that the office do audits, yes.
okay. And as far as doing those, is there requirements on how, specific requirements on how those are done?
Yeah, and actually, I brought some papers for you.
Okay.
So I think this will help answer some of y'all's questions.
Okay.
And this is on the audit. This is from the Department of Revenue, and these are policies and procedures that the department has to develop, depending on what laws the legislature makes.
Okay.
So, and this is on personal property audits.
So when we first engaged in there, my recollection though was part of our training was gonna be ramped up, so
And that's
we could, kind of work them out.
on the smaller, accounts. We'll never be able to do the large accounts like, GRP, Ingalls, CVS, Walgreens, those large accounts.
Brick and mortar stuff, we would never.
Yeah, we could do the small mom and pop stuff, because I think Hannah can do that. Of course, Hannah's not full-time anymore since she had the babies.
Is there a legislative definition of large?
No, it's just that she's not gonna have the training or the education to do a large audit, to go through someone like Ingalls' books or inventory and everything. Now, she relies on Ingalls being honest when they give that information to us.
How many big accounts would you say we have in account? I mean, I understand GRP, I understand weird stuff like cell towers or something,
Yeah,
the chain grocery store.
I'd have to go back and look, and I guess that would be, another question is, what do we consider a large account? What dollar amount would we consider a large account?
You would think anything in any industrial park is outside the scope of what we can do.
Yes.
So it would take an outside person, but you can't say an outside person, because it actually is gonna take an outside team. Because the auditor, depending on how in-depth it's gonna get, if it goes to court, now you gotta have lawyers for it that can argue that fact, that has to understand property, which is not a general lawyer. So to replace this person, if you try to hire the people, it costs you $350,000 for enough people to be able to do what we're paying a contract service to do now for half of that.
Probably less than half of that,
Probably less than half of that, yeah.
because of the
But you still gotta do it because it's state law.
they charge us for a small account, they may charge us $300. For a large account, I think the largest cost that we have on the large accounts is $5,000, so, for the large account.
So I guess, though, I understand those really large accounts, but I guess they're doing some accounts that we could possibly do?
Well, when we contracted with them, it was to do everything,
Okay.
and for them to train,
So the original contract was,
yes, for them to do every
and train.
account we have.
So when does this come up for renewal?
I didn't remember it being everything.
Yes, it was everything because.
But it was in phases.
Yes, it was over 3
This
years.
phase, until that phase was completed, then we move into the next phase. You came before the board of commissioners and asked to move to the next phase.
So this contract, does it have a date that ends, or is it just when they get through with their
Right.
audit?
Once they finish all the accounts that were part of that initial 3-year contract. And I know it's been more than 3 years because I think it started in 23.
Right.
So.
But once so the last 100 that's gone, once those are done, then we have no commitment to them, right?
Right. There will be time for a new contract to should y'all choose.
You'll either renew the contract or you'll end up hiring another contractor
Right.
to do it. Which I think there's.
I mean, for larger ones, but some of them, so talk about training. So do we feel like that we've got some training from them to do some of those smaller accounts?
I feel like we got some training from them for Hannah, but Hannah is phasing out because she had the babies.
So do we have a plan to?
I haven't replaced her position yet. She's coming in doing some part-time stuff with us to get TBS finished up.
Now, I don't know, I think we ought to think about how we transition that, because I think it would be, from my standpoint, would be better for us, especially some of those smaller in-county, local businesses that's not, and that outside for us to be able to do those, I think from a standpoint of just.
So can we, so state regulated is an audit must be conducted on every personal property account every 3 years.
Actually, I'm not sure that the audit on the personal accounts is supposed to be every 3 years. It may be more frequent than that. I know on real property, it's a 3-year
Okay.
cycle.
So, but part of that audit process, we can hire staff in-house to conduct that audit process.
Yes, we can.
And so we currently have hired TPS to do all the audits, get us up to place with the goal that we would have staff moving forward, but we may not have staff to do the large accounts.
Right, and we won't have.
Right.
So you're gonna end up with CPAs.
Well,
I know, on those accounts, I'm talking about smaller accounts.
And TBS will contract to do, if y'all want to do.
I understand
Small
those Ingalls and the GRP and the big ones, and if we get any more big ones, we would probably want somebody that had a lot more expertise in it. But I'm thinking that some of their accounts, like local hardware stores and gas stations and stuff like that.
Well, I'm not sure that the local hardware store is a small account.
Well, that's what we need to
What's the
determine.
break like?
We need to
Well,
I mean,
determine.
I'm just curious, because this is alien to me. What's the target?
I don't know exactly what the break line is on what's a small account and a large account. I guess it would depend on, I would say anything that's, $250,000, $300,000 value would be probably considered small. I think something that has $1 million value or higher would be a large account.
And, I'm not looking for the answers tonight, of course, I'm getting at, I'm gonna, at the end of the year, I'm out of this, but I think it would be wise for us to figure out, like, what is a large and small account, like.
Well, and I've been in touch with Stephen, who's the president of TBS, for him to come back up and give you an update or answer any other questions that y'all have. And he's supposed to get back with me tomorrow and let me know which day or which meeting in September he would be available.
There's one thing that's always, unless we understand, and I don't think any of us got a real good picture of it because we don't do it every day, but understand what you're actually auditing. To find somebody that can audit a potential bulldozer versus a computer manufacturing company is two different people.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why you have to hire firms that has the depth to say the difference between a company that's got only $100,000 worth of inventory versus one's got $1 million worth of inventory. But if that $100,000 worth or $100,000 worth of inventory is 75 or 750 different line items that has to be budgeted for, that becomes, even though the dollar threshold is low, small,
right.
It's still a large account because there's so many things that has to be looked at.
But yeah, and
But that's
I don't disagree with that.
But the reason we have to go out with, I say the reason we have to go out with a firm is because you're never gonna be able to hire 1, 2, or 3 individuals that's versed enough that can do the difference between a bulldozer and a Siemens plant like, or the guy the other day that we rezoned to build little panel boxes.
Right.
You gotta know the difference in the values in both.
Yeah.
But can't value them based off Google resale value.
Right. But if the state's not mandating that you got to use a firm, we can pick and choose some of those things.
That would get
You know, we
you in
can-
very big trouble.
Well, I don't,
We pick and choose.
well, maybe we can, maybe we can't. But I think it's worth looking into, and not something that we just say we gotta hire somebody outside firm
I think-
and not try to do some internal.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
We want the most professional staff that we have. It's better to, I think, to have a professional staff that knows what they're doing in less numbers than to have a whole lot of other people, or even have subcontractors, because we can see what subcontracting stuff gets us, because, you know, we subcontract a lot of stuff, and we're still waiting on some of them subcontractors to come and present stuff, so.
Commissioner Kirk's not talking about picking and choosing what accounts get audited. I think he's saying what type of accounts they hire.
Yeah, that's right, not, we don't pick,
No.
you know, we don't say
Okay,
this one
okay.
goes to this, but we say, yeah, I mean, something that's computer, but, you know, I don't know, something that's a data processing something, might be something that we just don't handle because we don't have any expertise. But there's some of this stuff like where you got farm businesses and stuff like that, that we should have some expertise in understanding.
Right.
That we could do some of those.
Mhm.
And that's just, you know, for instance, I think it's worth looking into myself.
Well, was this not?
Because it's only $30,000. I mean, it's $30,000, and that's relatively cheap. But if we can do it with some of our in-house resources, and then we can take that money and then to help our in-house folks to become more professional at what they're doing, then I think that's worth doing. You know what I'm saying?
So-
I'm not.
No, I agree with you, and I'm not disagreeing, but I do think that we crossed this bridge originally, because when we came to the board, when they come to the Board of Commissioners about Travel Business Services, says, guys, we've done everything that we physically can do in our office, and there's so much more out there that we don't never do. And it was presented to, hey, we can hire a firm of people that can go out and make it fair to everybody. Some people we may be overcharging, some people may be undercharging. So I do think that when we originally started this, we had reached out only because we had reached our limit.
Mhm.
And I'm not complaining. I want everybody to understand, I'm not complaining because we got them to begin with. I mean, I supported that from the standpoint because what we were doing. It's got to the point now where I can see some things that we need to better define before we enter into another contract. What the parameters are for this and those kind of things. And I think that we just need to do that, and it would be the most beneficial for our county going forward to do that.
And regardless of who's sitting behind the personal property desk in our office, it's very limited because the Department of Revenue only offers one 40-hour course on personal property.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Okay. Well, see, those are kind of things that we just need to be brought forward and just understand. Those kind of things and what's covered in that. You know, I think that would be, going forward, we need to understand that so we can make good decisions about how we do that. Yeah.
So how have they always done it? If they only offer a 40-hour course for personal property,
It's always relied on the taxpayer returning everything back to the office. And that's essentially the way it's been for, as long as I've been here until TPS came in.
gotcha. What number is TPS? I'm just curious. Do you know what kind of return on their roughly $70,000 that we've paid them so far over the years? I see it's 40,000, 46, 30, potential 30 again.
You mean what, tax revenue has come in that's been
Correct.
divided between the board and the school?
Yeah.
Probably north of $1 million. I know there was over 500,000 on cell towers, and my last update I got from TBS was, 500,000 on stuff that wasn't cell tower.
Right. And I'm not arguing that.
Not that it was put in place to be a revenue generator.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but I understand that, and it's been, I think it overall it's been good, but I just think there's some opportunities there and that we need to look at. That's all I'm saying.
No problem.
If demand's coming, one of the things and I'll just admit, you know, I don't live in that world, and I hear people talk about audits and CPAs, and it makes me think, you know, there's some little person sitting in the corner, got one little hats on, and running the calculator for hours on end, but obviously if they're charging $500 or a couple thousand to review something, they're not going through every receipt. So there's a process of some sort. I think that would be important for me to give an education on this is how we start, this is what we're looking at, what the appeals, or, you know, somebody, you know, if you send me something that says I owe you or I overpaid or whatnot, how that looks, you know, I would like an education on that.
Yeah. And he'll be able to answer all those questions when he comes in. I mean,
Have you already scheduled that day?
he's gonna call me tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
Because he was in a meeting when I called.
That would be really.
I mean, I don't plan to come to list of questions.
Right.
My expectation is he's gonna come educate.
Okay. I'll let him know that.
And how the chain of communication occurs, so.
The whole process.
Yeah.
The trailer makes their finding, who does the finding go to, then who says, okay, this tax is owed.
When trailer makes their findings, it comes to us, we send out all the communication to the taxpayer. Whether it's the letter letting them know that they have been selected for an audit, the letter letting them know that they're gonna be contacted to schedule a time for the, auditor to come out, and then what the results are.
What I'd like, Robin, when they come to do their presentation, is I'd like for it to be the person that handles our account, not.
There's gonna be several people, it's not one person that handles the entire county.
Yeah, there's no way. That's why I keep saying there's a team of people that has to work together to get to.
But I want the project manager up
That's
there.
who's gonna be, he's gonna be.
Here, not somebody that sits at a desk promoting what these people are doing. I'd like, not a salesman, I want the person that's the project manager.
I can request that he bring Darrell, who is one of the auditors that comes out and does a lot of the county.
Is he the project manager? Who's the person you call when you got a problem?
I call Stephen, and he is the president.
And he knows on the phone what's going on with Madison.
He knows, he either knows what's going on or who I need to talk to find out.
That's who I want to talk to, is who you need to talk to.
And it may not be the same person for every issue.
The guy that evaluates the welders ain't gonna be the same guy that evaluates Ingalls, nor is it gonna be the same guy that evaluates the bulldozer.
There's somebody that's got to be accountable for this account. That's
There is,
what I'm
but
saying.
you gotta think about it, there's so many versatilities in what we're inventorying. A can of fruit and a chainsaw is gonna be different than a bulldozer and a lawnmower. That's why it takes a team of people. That's why it's so hard for our office to do it. If we were just doing personal property, the only thing we used to do was boats, trailers were exempt because of the tag. We've done boats, household, four-wheelers, and side-by-sides.
And I think we're probably chasing rabbits right now, because he needs to come and they need to present to us, because I know enough to know that, I don't know what the letter said and what they were asking for. There's been a lot of content that people coming. I want to know why they need some of this stuff, because having an accounting background. Well, we're not looking at income. We're not.
No, and now they do request, the profit and loss statements, the income tax, but those things the taxpayer does not have to give those, and it tells on there that is voluntary.
So we need to understand that, and we need to understand what's going on.
And I know there's been more confusion with this batch that was sent out, and that's because I did hire a new personal property appraiser, and Hannah trained her the best she could at the time. There was no TBS audits going on. When TBS sent the letters to her and told her, you send this letter out on the 21st, you send this letter out the well, on the second, and then this letter out on the 14th. She sent every one of them at the same time, and it caused a lot of confusion with the taxpayer.
Yeah, I think that,
And she's no longer with us.
I understand that, and I think some letters went out and still got her name on it, and.
Yes.
And so that's another confusing. So, those are administrative things that need to be taken care of internally, but I think understanding this and then looking at opportunities to the future where we don't have these type issues, that's what I'm looking for.
And I remember when Brian Trailer, who owns the company, came up and met with y'all, he brought his, guy who I guess you may consider the office manager or the account manager, who was Chuck Nazarian. He was the lead accountant, and I think Chuck is still with the company, so I can ask Stephen to bring Chuck back with him, because Chuck actually does auditing work, and like you said, I'm not sure that Stephen does any auditing work.
Has anybody ever seen one of those letters? You ever seen one? So if you get one, well, I received one for my business, my wife received one for her business, and all my friends received one for their business. And if you read that thing carefully and slow down and physically read it, and don't assume, just read. It was very forthcoming with the things that was requested. And then at the bottom of the letter, it said, if you have questions, call this number. Which my wife did, because she was a little bit mad about it. It's like, why do they want to know this? So she called and she talked to them, and she submitted her stuff. But on me, for instance, I just follow the directions on it. It says, please send this to this, to this, to this. So I send it straight to my CPA and said, if you don't mind, please send those documents in. Never heard back from them until they walked in the store. And they said, we're here to audit the store. So we thank you for your submittal of your paperwork. We just need to do a quick walk around. They've done a walk around, they walked back out, and they said, thank you. And come to find out, I owed $18.
Mm-hmm.
I'd undersubmitted by $18. But I followed the directions, and it was not confusing. And I called, well, I didn't call, but then when the wife done it, she calls and they explain what they wanted to see. So we call the CPA, he sends them the stuff, they come out and look around and say, well, you got 2 desks, 2 couches, and 2 computers, you're under the threshold, no worries, have a good day.
Under the exempt amount.
Under the exempt amount. But it was all in reading and understanding the document, and or, if you didn't, to call the number at the bottom and, well, please explain. And it was just that simple for me.
Yeah,
I don't know if everybody gets a different letter than I got.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be justified in this meeting or crucified in this meeting.
Well, it's not crucified.
I'm just saying, we just need to look at it.
Well, I know y'all have more questions, and it's gonna be questions.
And that's good. I think that's the best thing to do.
All right. Moving on. Any other questions about Robin's budget? Thank you, Robin.
Okay, thank you.
So, capital outlay request.
I did get Michael on the phone. Would y'all like for him to come?
He's not here yet.
I have been texting him.
Just reschedule.
for later.
He wanted me to ask, so.
Zero it up.
Yeah, and we can skip next
Tell him he gets nothing until he shows up.
Let me do that right now.
Brian Kurtz.
And he gets nothing until he shows up. That'll be all right.
All right, so.
Fireman.
That's what it's gonna blame it on firemen.
That's all right.
All right, so capital outlay projects, gentlemen, Susan sat down with all the different departments on this, and we made some last minute changes. Some of the stuff on here, I think is, still a little bit in question, needs a little bit more fine tuning. Government building, office space renovations, CPAL. I know what this is, and I don't think that number, I don't know where he got that number from, so I need to question that. The old jail, begin the removal of old jail, not probation portion, to prepare for future EMS. Again, throwing a number at what it would take to tear down the jail if we choose to tear it down, and when we choose to tear it down. That's all that is. The fire training facility, we've already earmarked that money, so we're not having to add anything to that line item. vehicles for the government complex, this, we've been sharing a vehicle in between, classes a lot, and
That's for the entire complex
Yeah.
and, staff departments outside of the complex as well.
yeah.
Use that.
Whoever needs to run to training, they take the car, so we don't have to pay the other stuff. The sheriff has requested, well,
We have some ambulances coming offline.
Yes. Well, yes.
yeah.
That's actually what Reggie was, one of the ones that Rodney requested.
I can't say what all, the 2011 I drive, if I say it, insurance may not cover if I'm in an accident, is how bad it is, but it's okay. It gets me from point A to point B, and I don't like it. Vehicle patrol cars, this is something that is normally paid through Splosh, but we always offset it, with a few extra dollars here, which is 130 of those dollars. Because now police cars is insane to upfit them. You can buy a $40,000 car and it costs you $40,000 for all the lights and the sirens and everything in the computer stuff. A lot of it is not transferable. If the body style changes, you can't take the same lights off of a Ford Explorer and put them on the next new body style of Ford Explorer. They're either half inch too wide, half inch too small. Michael and them does a good job about trying to make sure that those will retrofit. That's the number that he's requested. The ambulance is $270. You can read out there, request one ambulance, from general fund, second ambulance from Splash. 2026 Splash will be small, starting out 2027. And if you remember, you know, we're not collecting that right now. That's why the county has a 7% sales tax right now.
That's
T-Splosh.
yeah, we're collecting
We're
small.
collecting.
I'm sorry, Splash, T-Splash.
It's confusing, I know.
Sorry, but we will have a short cycle from when it starts back over until it builds back up, sorry.
It's just the way that the state, it's their calculation. For that first year, the money is much smaller coming in than it is after the first year.
Gotcha.
It has something to do with the calculations of the state.
The equipment stretcher, you'll see that's a prorated number, that we put out there each year, just trying to build up the funds to be able to get renewal. Right now, we're holding off to the end of life node. We're trying to wait till the battery warranty runs out. But they do get abused. They run a lot of calls, so we will be needing them. These are just numbers out there. Monitors, same way. The monitor manufacturer we have now has went out of date. There's new manufacturers coming. Bobby don't want to jump on the bandwagon and order the latest, greatest until they get the bugs worked out of it. He is in fear that there may be problems, so we will wait and give them about a year's cycle, but we will budget small amounts of money until we reach the balance needed to purchase. Water system infrastructures, $500,000. This is 2 potential new wells, one on Highway 29 and 106, and the other is Highway 72. Roughly, that's the cost to get both of those wells up and running. And granted, that number can fluctuate, hopefully go down. 250,000 is normally the number that we would put if a well needed filtration. We have done wells 100,000 and turned them on and pumped them. We have spent 250 to 300 if they needed extra filters. So we just are saying 500 across the board. The SCADA upgrade, this is the monitoring system that we use that monitors our water system and our levels and our tanks. Lets us know when we have pumps offline, if the system's down, or even if there's a massive usage and water is flowing too quickly somewhere. It lets us know we have a problem. The water department, 30,000. We're going to cycle out an old ambulance for that truck because it's just they need a dually to pull stuff with. The 30,000 is more for the toolbox to go on it once we remove the ambulance box, and then to upfit the tools needed to do the job. Building improvement senior center, I think y'all talked about that in the last meeting, where we did redo the kitchen. Vehicle shuttle bus. So as of today, I have found shuttle buses, and that number has been reduced to 50,000. It was 150 at 4:30 today. Most of these are all prorated numbers that you see for equipment for the Rec department, facility 87, John Deere Gator, that would be for year 27, 28, 29, total amount $12,090, so if we put 40 or 4,030 in it each year between now and then, we don't have to hit that big hit.
If he has not already done so, I'd like to request that Paul Metz, review all these capital requests for that fund.
Rec department?
Yes. If we're talking about,
Oh, flipping it over, yeah.
we're talking about moves, you've got a whole list of things, including the vehicles. So you got the equipment, and you got a whole other page, I would sure like for him to review all that.
I'd go further than that. I mean, looking at the list of capital requests here, I mean, honestly, Todd, most of the stuff that's on this whole list that we're calling capital outlay is well within your prerogative and authority to sign for. I mean, if there's anything on here that requires this group's attention in regards to saying, yes, we're gonna fund it, and there's no doubt about it, it would be, of course, the patrol cars for the sheriff's office, the purchase of new ambulance. The stuff that goes in the ambulance is still well below what your chair, as chairman, are responsible for. The whales, it's a given. I mean, on that of 500 each, a new truck and upgrading software or monitoring system would be. I guess in my mind, I really don't consider these capital outlays.
Well, they're really not. They could have been departmental, but in departmental, you really just want to try to show your actual day-to-day expenses, not your larger purchases. And granted, you're right about the purchase power would not need to come back before the Board of Commissioners and say, hey, but remember back during the budget, you allocated money to do John Deere Gator. We already know that's done. I can just stroke the check. This is more of a budgetary item to know that these are things that will be in the budget. So the bottom line, you understand where that number comes from. Susan,
It's more or less an accounting term.
it's more of an accounting term than it is.
It's not just an annual item, this is an item we'll purchase that will be utilized over time.
Yes, and to be able to track to see where that money went.
Well, on that line, I guess, kind of picking up on what Danny was saying, I mean, I'm not saying we have to change wholeheartedly, what's on the paper, but as we move forward, I see a lot of these, and again, I understand, there's certain items at each facility that needs attention. Sure. And it's easy to look at it that way. But almost, I think I would classify the majority of that stuff as maintenance.
Yep.
And if there needs to be a, facilities maintenance budget for X, Y, Z dollars, and that budget is there, and then administratively,
You would prioritize what needs.
maybe not go do everything today, and then we prioritize throughout the year, and what's broke today, we gotta fix. What we need to work on tomorrow, we work. I mean, that's kind of where, and then as far as like the equipment, if we're trying to set aside a few dollars, I guess in my vernacular, it's usually like a life cycle replacement cost that, we would be kind of tracking that. And then the actual capital purchase or capital project outlay would be, those big line items that we need to hit, make it move.
With the sheriff's patrol cars and the ambulances, we worked last year on sort of a system of expected replacements and staging. So that's this amount, in my memory, which is a dangerous thing to operate from. This reflects the program that we set into place last year.
So you want to talk about why it's laid out this way? I mean, I hear what they're saying, and they're not wrong.
No, they're not wrong.
The way
They're not wrong.
our software and what we use with the auditing purposes, we're just trying to show you where potentially 1.339 versus a blanket approval of those being in individual departments, put them all in one spot so you can see them all together on the same sheet. Versus having to go in and look in departments. Well, wait a minute, what are we doing in that department? What are we doing in that department? Here it shows it under just, she can just type in capital outlay, there they all are, depending on which, but we'll list out the departments over to the side. Items number 1, item 50, item 55, item 80, 87, instead of putting them literally in that budget form and having to go back and search for them.
I get why I do this way, the way my mind works. I would like the capital, I'd like to see the capital expenses per department, in each department, and I know that's where that's going. I mean, I get why we're doing it here, but that is, although it is a capital outlay, it is a portion really of the budget of that department. That's just what my mind works. I mean, I'll see why.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's okay, we can do that. I mean, when, in our system, in an accounting system, anything that we're putting that's over 5,000, I have to show that, like, as a project that was a capital outlay project to an auditor. So that's why a lot of this stuff ends up in that little section called a capital outlay. It's in order to have that inventory, to keep track of
Sure.
what we're trying to do.
And that's why.
Some of this stuff, I mean, if it gets broken out into, like, just by itself, it probably wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? But when the department head comes to me and says, this is my project, this is what I need to finish this project, when we put it all together, then I'm looking at a different dollar amount. So you have to be careful how I'm laying it out.
Well, if you look, and also if you'll look at this, say, down here below, advertising, printing, binding, travel, lodge, and miscellaneous, if we just had capital outlay that, I could put a dollar there. You're not gonna have any history behind it, but then I still gotta have room to explain what that dollar is, because next year it'll change.
And now,
You know, some of these are 3 or 4 lines long to explain what that 50,000 is.
right.
But we can do it. I mean, we can broaden the
do it
page,
a
it's
different
not a
way.
problem.
I can lay it out differently for you.
Whatever y'all feel best, I mean, we'll change it.
I guess some of it for me is the day-to-day operations of the government here that, I mean, I perceive that our job is to be, you advise us and we consent to it, and then y'all pursue it, you know. To know that we're gonna laser grade a ball field for $4,000, and then we're gonna put sand on it so the grass will grow through it for $4,000, that's getting pretty deep in the weeds for me. I mean, I have enough confidence.
It could have just been field repair.
Yeah, I have plenty of confidence in the ability of the day-to-day managers of our departments and of the people here who are what make the government function for this county, that, and then, at the end of the day, we have a very competent auditing firm that we use now, so that, you know, if you take the $8,000 that we're gonna laser grade and put sand on with and go make a down payment on a Mercedes, we're probably gonna find out about it pretty quick, you know.
No, you gotta keep in mind, the department has submitted this to Susan, so
Yeah.
she just transferred their information over to this document.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree, you know, the information's not here or whatnot. I guess the bottom line, what I'm thinking about is, you know, like the 3 columns I was talking about, is that's kind of the bottom line budget, or what we're spending on it, and get an idea of what it would cost, you know, like, you know, do we need to be in the weeds for 4 and 4? That's fine, but field maintenance, you know, at $20,000 or something like that. And where I'm going is, and there's a reason why I'm going is, okay, now we agreed to all this and we move forward, and just because the rec department's on here, I'm not picking on rec department just because I'm looking at it, is now do we have, when you think about it this way, do we have 15 different approved board of commission projects that somebody can feel like they can move forward with? Or we've got a budget number of this for some maintenance things at the whole park and rec facilities. So when we're doing the first priority, the laser grading and whatnot, we nick a water line and we got to fix something else that's going to cost more than what's here. Something on the bottom of that list needs to come off to pay for it. And so then you don't have somebody coming back and say, wait a minute, you took, just because I spent more money down the hill means you can't take away money from here. I'm just looking at it that way, also that way.
I think in years past, what they done was they used to generalize the money, and they just said, okay, field maintenance, we're gonna put $100,000 in it. And then somebody go out and do a $90,000 project and didn't leave but 10 to do the other 10 items that they had suggested to be done. So they went granular and tried to break it out to try to keep people in line. But we'll do it. I mean, it's a very simple request, and I appreciate the request. We can change the forms. But you're right, anything under that threshold, if you're comfortable with staff, throw the dollar amount.
Well,
Work within the dollar amount.
Commissioner Chandler touched on a point that I think that serious consideration needs to be given to is we've got a very competent person that is attending to our facilities and maintenance needs. And his evaluation of some of this stuff would be, in my mind, it would be very prudent for him to have a look at it so that he could say, you know, this is a priority, or an example, you know, you want to, here again, I'll fall back, and I'm here again, not picking on the rec department, but, you know, we need $8,000 for sand and leveling, but wait, we've got a air conditioning unit over here for the rec department that we spent $12,000 for last year to just keep putting Band-Aids on it, which is the priority. And I would have, quite honestly, I'd have a lot of confidence in Alan and Paul telling us that, rather than run into a situation where, oh my God, we need to ask the library for money to change the air conditioning.
Well,
I can assure y'all.
But I'm looking at some of this right here. It says park improvements downhill softball. It says road department, Allen project, road department, Allen project. So I assume that Allen's already looked at that.
It is.
Right?
It is. We operate exactly like Dennis just stated.
It's just that this sheet breaks out for accounting purposes, what you want for governmental accounting for the auditors.
Well, this is how the department head sent it in.
Yeah,
As her project.
I know.
So I lay it out, and then I have to look, like I said, is it one complete project? And this was what I asked going back, is this a complete project?
I understand. Yeah.
So I know how to put it in my book.
You could,
As we look at,
you know, if you want to change that, you just have to retrain all of them how to do that, and then you gotta redo your way you account for it. Which I know it's a pain in the butt.
Well, no, a lot of it's communication, and it's trying to figure out, you know, what is the cost of the project?
Mm-hmm.
And then going back, how much of that is maintenance? I'm not disagreeing with you. Laser grading probably is a maintenance. It probably is something that is done pretty often to keep their field level. I don't know that. That's not my field. But I have to rely on them to come to me and say, this is what I need for a project.
I think but I agree with what y'all been saying about that, and Dennis said that, Paul and Alan, especially on all those rec departments, they need to be involved in it. And I think that maybe because they are, but
Yeah, they are.
yeah.
when we look at, when I look at things from a commissioner's perspective, try to justify the dollars that we spend to make sure that the citizens get their money's worth. Again, we're talking about not picking on the rec department, just have to be in front of us right now.
Just have to be for one.
Let's just throw out a number. Let's say the rec department's budget is $500,000, and I divide that $500,000 by the number of people who utilize that department. But then when we get to capital expenditures, if there's another $200,000 in rec department capital expenditures, well, that $500,000 that I thought was the rec department's budget, now it's $700,000, which becomes a different value per person served compared to looking at it all in one. So again, just the way my mind works, I like to see the capital component of each department's budget in there, just so I know that instead of dividing 500,000 by 1,600 users, it's dividing 700,000 by 1,600 users. So anyways. And I know you have some needs in-house that you have to fulfill, and I don't wanna get in the way, just the way my mind works, trying to figure out how much are we spending per person, I just kinda need to see that.
But I guess one of the things that, and I'm not wanting to just keep this, but one of the things you have to look at, especially with the rec department, is not so many, how many people out of the 30,000 in the county, it belongs to the county. So if somebody all of a sudden hadn't been using it and they want to, you know, so you gotta look at that, and that's.
But I was just saying, as a way of measuring the.
I know, as far as prioritizing stuff, I think that's it.
You know what, and not to prolong, but I want to say it anyway. The items, and I'm saying this out loud for the public and for the paper or whoever wants to hear. We're trying to manage, yes, tax dollars, but we're also, we've put off a lot of stuff. And those aren't showing up here, we're not talking about them. I'm just generally gonna run through several of them that, you know, some of the, again, I say it this way, there's, you know, depends on the cycle of life. You got little kids or grandkids, you want the rec department to be going. If you're nothing but doing the senior citizen, you want that to be running fine. We all wanna drive on good roads. You know, there's $100 million easy of road work that needs to be done out there. You know, we need a new rec facility. We've talked about it for a long time, but we also need, you know, the space to put that land, and that means moving the shop. There's, you know, we got a very nice old historic structure not far from here that I would love to have restored. And it's gonna take money, it's gonna take a lot of money. And then we're working on grants, you know, it's gonna be a little bit at a time, but add all those up, you know, $200 million, and, you know, we're not assigning tax dollars to those, but those are things that need to be done as well. So, you know, I challenge somebody that says, you know, I don't like that. Well, there's a volunteer slip somewhere that you can volunteer, or we can try to work on it, but don't just come saying, hey, you know, we don't care. Don't say that.
You touched on a key thing. Our total county budget is twice what we bring in on property tax. Be mindful. We bring in half on property tax of what our actual county budget is. Through grants, through T-Splashes, through L-Host, through Splash. Fees, dues, you name it. So,
and if we went down the list of.
This board's done a hell of a job with budgets for over 5 years. I'm proud of them.
And if we went down the list of all the wants that citizens come to us with, but I don't mind, I mean, I understand where they're coming from, because I want some things too. But, it would be, you know, where you're talking about like $100 million there just to fix up the roads. You know, there's no way we can afford to do all these things. So we have to figure out and prioritize and figure out what we can do and find out what, you know, on those things, the luxuries. You know, right now there are no luxury money in Madison County. Like some other places have some of that. The Jackson County's on I-85 and all that. They got so much business, they're trying to keep business from coming. So, you know.
Commissioner Kirk, you were speaking about just capital projects. Basically, we forgot about the day-to-day operations of paying the power bill.
That's right.
You know, making sure you meet all those good state mandates. All right. Any Commissioner budgetary questions, comments? Is exactly what we just did. Commissioner May, you got anything to add to that? Because you was the one that didn't get a chime in. Or you just happy?
He's a short time. This is really out of my depth, and I rely on you guys who know what you're doing here, and I trust you guys to recommend to us what we need.
Thank you, sir.
So is there, I did put this, agenda item on there. I know me and Susan had talked about, when we talk about some of the capital outlay stuff, we talk about some of the capital purchases and future projects. I really wanted to give the board an opportunity, to put things in the budget that you would like to see, that you haven't seen already, or if there's any more of the budget specific areas you want to see, what those dollar figures are. That's what I put this in here for.
Yeah, especially as we narrow it down to get ready to approve the budget. If you have special things in your district or something, a specific project that you want to see us move forward with, please make it known in the numbers and get them to Susan or Christina or myself, either one, and we'll make sure we get those in there so they can be considered at the vote.
Do you wanna discuss, so on the August 31st agenda, I have the county planner position. And we can discuss a budgetary number there. I know that we have discussed one internally. Do we have that in the budget?
It is in the budget.
And it may have been when Eddie presented Monday.
It was,
and I was-
Eddie presented
Okay.
that one.
Okay. And keep in mind that there is some other things that's not in the capital outlay from larger projects that we all know will come, but they come in a vicious cycle. You gotta move A before you get to B, and B can't move till you get to C. But those are things that will come. We've also had Susan print me a list today of the splosh that some of these departments have. There's a reason we lowered some of the capital outlay cost, because they'll be offset with some of the splosh that they're carrying. Trying to lessen this, the last thing we wanna do is have to do any kind of increase on mill rate. It's just something I don't wanna do, but.
Also, I wanted to, during this agenda item, I know that you have made comments before, and this will be the same thing for Commissioner Adams and Chandler, and you guys too, where a board has voted on a budget right before you took seat. And I know that there were some things that you had approached the board and asked for or not asked for. So since Commissioner Harvin is here, I didn't know if the board wanted to give her an opportunity to ask us to look at anything specifically.
Man, I thank you for reminding me of that.
Sorry I put you on the spot, I had to give you a heads up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So,
Sorry about that.
no, in all fairness, and Ms. Bettis may be watching
Yeah.
tonight, because
Let's just let them submit some of
Yeah.
that stuff.
yeah, I would like to have something from you guys to say, this is my thought process, because I will be picking up that budget that y'all just adopted and having to work with it. If you see something in it, or if Ms. Bettis wants to come and get a copy of this and look over it, there's nothing wrong with 7 sets of eyes, because y'all will be the one that implements the budget that we're approving. So thank you for that. That's really good, because I was a little perturbed when I got here without a budget, but it worked out great, so it didn't matter. But I think y'all need that fair shake.
Bill, if you think you're gonna influence my opinion on your needs, I do like those turtle cheesecake things a lot, okay?
Pralines.
Good, that's right, pralines.
All right, we are adjourned. It don't take a motion. Sorry about the second. That's the third one I've done in 5 years. I always give it to you.
Yeah, I will. I did keep an extra copy, so.
Well, no, I was able to look at
Yeah.
Take care.
Yes, sir. See you later, John.
Here's a place. What I would do is, when we get, well, after the.
Oh.
Maybe it's
Virginia with
Yeah.
Christina, when's Michael coming? When's our next public? Michael, 9/1, and.
We'll need to discuss that, because our next meeting is August the 31st.
Are they here? Yeah, they were, at least they were.
When do we vote?
Oh, we'll vote on the budget until September.
I appreciate it. I
So
know.
we've got time before he comes. I don't know, I can't assign the sheriff a date.
Oh, I know, yeah. Okay. I think it'll be better once we get done with the sheriff, in case he makes change, like, hey, we continue to set something, some change. Here, said he may make change.
What time we going?
That's fine. It doesn't matter, you'll probably wanna just call her and see when the sheriff.
We got total expenses. Plus total taxes. We got this whole budget process.
They all know how to do that. This is what your plan is.
Yeah.
It's like, as you call it, I have to keep, keeping up with how much money we budgeted for this year.
Go ahead.
The next, usually the next year.
I am, I don't even got it in me right now, but look, I got you.
Well, that's a freebie.
I ain't gonna have to worry about it after January.
Short time. You're gonna call